Hello, my name is Gabrielle Zirolli-Logan, and this is my Module 1 Research Package for course ARC 501. First things first, we have to identify our site. We are focusing on a site in the Boyle Heights neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Boyle Heights is located at the far east side of Los Angeles, just northeast of South and Southeast LA. For further reference, here is a map of the communities of Los Angeles. You can see Boyle Heights located as described. Our site is located along the east side of the Los Angeles River between the 4th Street and 7th Street bridges. You can see these bridges as the top and bottom borders of the model that we made as a section. Rail lines run parallel to the river here, and power lines are another prominent feature of the site. Next, an important step in designing is learning about the community that we are going to be building in. Los Angeles is made up of a large Latino population since it was once settled by the Spanish and later ruled by Mexico before California became an American state. The population of Los Angeles grew greatly with the success of oil, manufacturing, and motion picture industries there. LA is the second most populated city in the U.S. behind New York City. LA, like many urban areas, is seeing a rise in high-density housing projects to accommodate growing populations. Early racial and social prejudice, like many places in the United States, led to segregation and housing inequalities. With the research that our section conducted, there are some important key takeaways to consider when designing our communities and residential buildings in the Boyle Heights neighborhood. Housing has been and continues to be an issue with affordable housing hard to come by. Gentrification still drives locals out of the area, and a large homeless population is in the area. But development is often frowned upon by locals as they perceive it to be a threat and it disrupts community functioning. Green building is becoming more important as climate change becomes more of a prominent issue, energy and water costs rise, and the health of the environment is more valued by the younger generations. Unity in the neighborhood is lacking, and Boyle Heights does not have much green spaces. Keeping these key ideas in our research in mind, some recommendations for moving forward in our designs include repurposing existing buildings so as to cause less disruption to the neighborhood, integrate mixed-use components to balance the need for recreational, commercial, and residential spaces, implement green building elements and technologies in order to save on energy costs, save water, and contribute positively to the health of the planet, add community amenities and shared spaces to foster a feeling of unity, and keep the locals in mind when it comes to developing, get their opinions, and respect their neighborhood. Diving a bit farther into some of the issues LA faces, there are many types of inequality issues in the city, and housing injustice and equitable neighborhoods is of course something to consider when building in the area. LA has the 7th highest level of income inequality in the country. With middle wage jobs on the decline, the increase of low wage and high wage jobs means a growing wage gap. High housing costs further decrease the amount of their income people can utilize. Discrimination in housing, specifically redlining, further segregated those of low income and poverty-ridden neighborhoods. These neighborhoods have unequal access to resources, often have high drug and crime rates, and several more issues. Home values tripled between 2000 and 2021, and the median rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is $3,000. When you are supposed to allocate 30% of your income to rent, this is an unrealistic number for most. In the next step of research for designing a community of residential buildings, I looked at the McAllen Building condominiums in South Boston, Massachusetts. McAllen is 350,000 square feet, and it contains 140 units spread out over 11 floors with an additional 3 levels of parking on the bottom. The McAllen's strongest focus was on being eco-friendly and therefore attracts residents looking for that green lifestyle despite the more costly prices of the units. The architects and the development team worked very hard to make the building as green as possible and ultimately earned it a Gold LEED certification. It was the first condo in Boston to achieve this level. Here's a list of the amenities that the building offers, which is a good inspiration for my future design. This is the large team that worked on the project. The architect, principals in charge, and project managers were from Office DA and Burt Hill, and the developer was Pappas Enterprises. The design of the McAllen was purposeful and integrating itself into its surroundings with a glass curtain wall facing the west, referencing the industrial heritage in that direction, and with a stepped roof descending downwards to the east, mirroring the more traditional brick and storefront buildings and the residential neighborhood that it faces. The building was also designed with retail spaces on the ground floor in order to encourage pedestrian traffic. As mentioned, the main focus of the project was constructing an environmentally friendly building. Several design strategies were used to achieve this, as you can see here. The building's technologies save over 600,000 gallons of water yearly and consume 30% less electricity than a conventional building. The project also used a large amount of materials with recycled content and that were sourced within 500 miles of the project. Additionally, taking the climate into account, the building was situated so that a large portion of the surface area of the structure faces south and is therefore able to use passive solar strategies for heating. These are all strategies to take inspiration from. Here is a section drawing of the McAllen. And here are a couple of floor plans overlaid on a Google Earth image to better understand the unit's layouts in the building. My key takeaways from this President project include how important green buildings are and how they will continue to be as climate change continues to be an issue and as younger generations seek out environmentally responsible ways of living. The McAllen is also a good example for designing to fit into an area. The designers took into account the type of zones that the building was located near and made it inviting from all sides. The building both blends in and stands out in a positive way. Additionally, incorporated into the building is retail space to encourage pedestrian traffic, and parking within the building is important in a city where parking is not widely available. And so my main takeaways from Module 1, the research phase, is that with the rising costs of housing today, especially in Los Angeles, affordable housing is a necessity and high demand. Another demand is green buildings with elements to save water and energy costs. Mixed-use buildings are useful for balancing the demand for both commercial and residential space in an area and decreases the need to travel for goods and services. Community amenities and spaces are important for fostering relationships, and designing our buildings to integrate into the surrounding neighborhoods will make the building more inviting and will please the locals.